of Defiance, but now swapping the script a little bit. Going to be that red 2 puck. I can only assume it's going to be red 2's puck, and stealing away that Papa Duty hero. Again, puck, one of his best heroes, and now you're sort of deny picking it, giving it to red 2. Plays really well versus that void. We very rarely get to see the puck played versus the void, and when we have, the puck definitely does still need to be careful. If you ever get chronoed, if you ever get caught out of position, we also see in this puck versus the Snapfire, if you get cookied, you are dead. This is going to be up to red 2. You have to play sort of on the fringe at all times to get the most out of that hero, but really, he can't get caught. He's got to play this hero perfectly.
Yeah, we'll see if red 2 brought his dancing shoes for this one, because as you said, the second you get touched, the second you get locked down, you are just straight up gone. And now D2 Hustlers getting sort of even more for themselves in the way of both durability and lockdown with that DK selection. So I think the couple of times we've seen the DK recently in this event, it has been shifted into that off lane position. So the kind of mid variant of the DK feels like it's a little bit less popular here. So I would assume D2 Hustlers would sort of be looking for that and put Divine Llama on that hero. It is going to give him that sort of potential playmaker as well once he picks up that Blink Dagger. So something that the cut will have to be very, very careful of. Damage-wise, maybe it's not that threatening, but you are going to have that sort of initiation power, although now you are running DK against a Timber.
Yeah, you end up running DK versus the Timber, and perfect pick coming out. That Abaddon now going to be the hero that's really going to be able to save that puck. You see the DK picked up so consistently versus that puck because you have that incredibly long disable. If you do, again, ever get that disable onto the puck, he's going to be under fire. You're going to need to be able to save him. And we actually have seen D2 Hustlers run it as a 4. We've seen 1437 shifted around. And I don't know if they were versus a Timbersaw in that game as well, but it never feels the most fantastic. It doesn't feel really great. And I can only imagine that the cut are going to ban out some more Divine Llama heroes here, just because there is that slight threat that maybe you do end up going there. Well, actually, it's hard to say, because with that Bloodseeker pickup, I can't imagine Papa Tootie is going to want to play Bloodseeker versus the puck, so we might already be seeing Divine Llama's hero in that Bloodseeker, and stylistically, it does play pretty well versus that Timbersaw, but Abaddon does not really care. Puck does not really care, so this is really just sort of directly trying to affect this Tingle King Timber, and I don't know if I'm exactly buying what they're selling, especially because Scourge is going to have that last overall pick. So this Bloodseeker can definitely sort of get pushed out of the lane, especially versus Abaddon. If you get that curse in an Oov, it feels like walking up to that wave is going to be pretty difficult for Divine Llama if he is on this BS.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it several days ago, actually, when we saw Parker put on this Bloodseeker for Infamous. I mentioned at the time, Bloodseeker in a position 3 role just really does not feel as strong. You don't really get the same degree of farming priority, and your damage does suffer because of it. So, sure, it can bug the Timbersaw a little bit, right? With the Rupture, with the Blood Right, you're going to be able to sort of harass him to that degree, but it just feels very strange for them. And as you said, you take the Bloodseeker now, it's not really a hero that we think Papa Tootie is really going to care about in the middle lane, and mid Bloodseeker is at this point even less popular than running it in the off lane. So it's a strange play for D2 Hustlers' side. I have to assume there's some sort of grander plan in store for this Bloodseeker, but right now it just feels a little bit funky. But we'll have to wait and see. Maybe they've got something up their sleeve here in terms of a positional swap or some sort of laning scenario that really gets more out of this Bloodseeker than what we're seeing right now. But in the meantime, we are moving through those final bans here. D2 Hustler is going to remove both the Bristle and the Medusa, trying to take away some of those Scourge McDuck heroes, while the cut are just going to key in on that final support position, taking the Lion, presumably out of 1437's hands here, and then really just, I guess, one final hero with an aggressive sort of focus as, well, they banned the Lina. Not really sure if anybody's still considering that hero at this stage based on what we've seen before, but they are going to just take away some of those pause 4 options.
Yeah, and I guess the cut are making a little bit of a different read than I am, because yeah, they are going to pick up that wind. We'll see what position, again, once everything is locked in stone, then we will get a little bit of a better idea, because I do think this is just going to be a 5-position Snapfire, pos 3 Bloodseeker for a DK, and that makes that mid-wind sort of make some more sense. And again, for third day in a row, this Windrunner has been able to get so much done. Even in that previous game where D2 Hustlers picked it up, tried to play it versus Undying, it was being able to make moves. It was sort of playing a little bit off of the speed that Yuma was getting underneath that gyrocopter, but you can still rotate to these sidelines. You're always able to make something happen on the map, and we'll have to see whenever Red 2 uses his coil, it will just be free range for Papatuti to make plays on those wind. So ganking that Timbersaws lane is probably going to be the easiest target for him to hit. But now Scourge, you have that Luna, and it is a Devilama Bloodseeker. That is going to be pretty easy for him. Whenever that Bloodseeker tries to go up to the wave, while you are able to secure those range creeps with the Bloodright, you are going to eat a lot of damage. So Scourge is going to be able to get to off to a good start. And you've got Tingle King on a signature Timbersaw. So the Cut have definitely got a lineup that they're very, very comfortable with.
Yeah, I think this looks honestly pretty solid for them. If there was, well, yeah, ever sort of a situation where it feels like the Cut have finally sort of drafted themselves into a strong point, I would say that it's here, especially with D2 Hustlers. I don't know, being a little bit weird with those picks. That 1437 DK is something we've seen before, but not entirely sure if we would call it proven just yet. Meanwhile, with the Bloodseeker in the offlane, we've already talked about the issues with that hero in that position. So we'll see. The Cut have to feel comfortable here. They know that they're sort of playing with house money. Their position for the playoffs is really already locked in outside of maybe an extra win or two for seeding purposes, but they are really just looking to kind of stick it to D2 Hustlers here and maybe prevent their regional rival from claiming that playoff spot, or upper bracket spot, excuse me.
And really, D2 Hustlers, if this isn't the game that you win, the next one has to be it. You need to at least go 1-1 versus the Cut. Whereas, you know, the Cut, they're free. They really don't care about the outcome of this match. Again, while there are some seeding purposes, it really feels like they're just playing Dota to play Dota. And we have seen the Cut before get those fantastic individual performances, specifically Tingle King, Scourge McDuck, able to make those plays, able to keep their head above water in some pretty dire situations. And they really are the heroes that you need to focus on the Cut, on whether or not they're able to get those easy victories. And at the same time, Hustlers, you've got that Yuma Void. If you are able to stall out the game, if you are able to bide your time, you have that Snapfire this time around as well. So you have that guaranteed play with the kisses that's always going to be able to sort of propel that Void into an easier mid to late game. You definitely have some plays to be made on both sides, but again, it's sort of do or die for Hustlers. They've got to win the series.
Yeah, if they can't, then well, life gets a little bit difficult for them. So we'll see what exactly they can pull off here. There's an early maneuver into the south side jungle that was originally a 5-man smoke. 1437, I believe, got close enough to Red 2 to pop, but as we see from the vision here, neither side actually currently sees the other. So I don't think Red 2 is in trouble here. He's just going to be able to fall back to the tower, and 1437 doesn't really have the speed he would need to get that, even with the boots. So it's a bit of a bust there initially, but you still have about 5 heroes hanging out in the jungle, so maybe they wait and see. They've got this ward up on the sort of south side of the river to scout if anybody moves in, and it could still work for them, but it looks like they're already starting to back themselves away. They realize, we're spending a little bit too much time in here, we got to get back to try and grab those bounties.
Yeah, and with the smoke up play, we do see them not really place up that ward. Whenever we see that smoke up, sometimes we see the ward placed up on the eye, just giving that high ground vision, maybe seeing that position 5 rotating out. Of course, that is just going to be an Abaddon, so not the scariest rotation that could possibly happen, but something that the Abaddon does facilitate are those pretty deep dives where maybe Red 2 does go a little bit ham and needs that sort of escape plan. And Pingu is just going to yeah, right-click up this 1437 DK.
Just
interesting.
Running right at him. Aphotic Shield active, so this isn't exactly a fight the DK wants. And I don't think he's actually in range for the shield pop to hit him. Yeah, he's well far, so he's going to be just fine. No damage taken there outside of just the right clicks being traded away, but this is always going to be a bit of an interesting one. 1437, what does he do in the lane? The last time we saw him on this sort of position 4 hero, he did stuff like this, just jumping in right away with that stun. Devilama sort of set up for the follow-up with the Bloodright, and it worked out well for them last time, right? 1437 was able to just sort of constantly push in and try to set up opportunities. Don't know, though, if they're going to have the same sort of scenario here. Scourge doesn't have the highest health pool, but with Pingu there to really bail him out with the Aphotic Shield, I don't think they're going to be able to really too much actually threaten his life.
Yeah, he's just going to stun. Yeah, every single
Yeah.
time they see Pingu commit this Aphotic Shield, they are just going to go for the damage onto SMD. But at the same time, you're both melee heroes. You take a lot of damage just going for the approach. So once they get a few more levels up here, it is really going to be a lot more difficult for them. And while you are getting a lot of CS on this Bloodseeker, this is pretty much all you can do. I don't think they'll ever really have that substantial amount of damage where SMD's life will really be under dire straits. It really feels like now, yeah, with the curse, you have to be so careful on this Bloodseeker. You don't have boots. You're just going to get run up.
Already forced to back away. 1437, though, was at least able to sort of rotate out and get that courier snipe. So Pingu's going to be denied some resources here, as he is going to get stunned up and hit by the Bloodright, but I don't really know how effective this play is actually going to be. Maybe when they have further levels, maybe when Divine Llama is sort of a bit more secure in his damage output, then this is going to hit a little bit harder. But for right now, it just feels like just kind of casual harassment, not really a setup play for them at any point. As Pingu, okay, he's wrapping in, but that's an ABBA. He's not really going to be able to do that much. Scourge doesn't even really want to push that far forward, so they're going to back themselves away on that front, or maybe they won't. They go in for the Lucent Beam. Scourge is going to be able to sidestep out that Bloodright. However, Pingu is sort of stuck in the middle of it, and they're going to keep on going. Devi hit up by a second Lucent Beam, but they're not quite going to have the damage to finish that one off. But they're really starting to bully this Bloodseeker up now.
Yeah, and it's just the solid fact that this Luna, we'll see if Scourge decides to get that second point in the Lucent Beam. We saw Lumiere pretty much setting it. Yeah, you just do it just because it does doubles the damage. It is a pretty hard spell. And while Devi, mistimed the Bloodright, so he isn't getting that range creep. He takes so much damage just walking up to the wave, and that's where once this Luna gets a few more levels, it's just going to continue to get harder and harder, especially already having that band of Elven skin. Devi is going to eat a lot of harassment. And 1437 doesn't want to be here. He wants to make those rotations, but he's a DK. He might be able to stack a little bit for his teammates, but really D2 Hustlers have drafted their lineup around the fact that they are not the best early game. They are going to need to wait a little bit. Maybe it's that 7-minute timing where you get that level 6 on your mid laner, or it's just waiting for that Blink Dagger on 1437 where his hero really starts to feel useful. But this sort of cute play where you just get that Dragon Tail into the stun, it doesn't really do much anymore, especially with Pingu getting level 3.
And that time, the Aphotic Shield was actually on to Scourge rather than the Abba himself, so you don't even really get the damage that you wanted from that play. The Luna just sort of stands tall and eats it up. So not a whole lot going for them at this point. Meanwhile, mid, Red 2, able to grab himself a bottle, or excuse me, a water rune in the bottle, as he does take that away from Papa Tootie, but the Wind Ranger still pushing forward. 1437 rotates in. They do get the Dragon Tail. They don't get the Shackle, but I think they've still got the kill.
Ooh. Yeah, he should have jaunted. He should have gotten out of there. And, Papa Tootie walked into the tower for a second there, got body blocked by the creeps. But, again, perfect timing in from 1437. You did leave Devi Llama alone, so he is going to have to watch and sort of bide his time a little bit in this bottom lane. But you get the kill onto Red 2. Gets a little bit greedy. We usually see the pucks get punished when they go for that orb into the small camp. And again, it's not their fault. They're just trying to be efficient. They're trying to get as much last hits as possible. But it's something you can almost count on pretty much every single time. Meanwhile, Papa Tootie gets the bounty rune. He's just got the full reset. Everything's back to normal.
Yeah, so middle lane looking okay for him. The only real concern right now, though, is the discrepancy in terms of the last hit count. 16 and 1, 30 last hits on the board for Red 2, but that death does sort of serve to ever so slightly even things out. So it's a nice play for the Wind Ranger to get up and into a better position. Meanwhile, haven't really looked top so far. There hasn't really been too much to talk about. Yuma has just been sitting back, farming up, and doing his best to avoid some of the damage from Tingle here. Tingle, not really a massively offensive-oriented skill build, the 1-1-2 for him at level 4, so he's just been looking to be tanky, sit in this lane, and maybe not force Yuma away, but at least put himself in a position where if Yuma does want to come forward, Tingle doesn't have to worry himself. So both heroes in this top lane just focusing on the last hit counts, while the supports are really just occasionally trading damage. And to be honest, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if we see either one of these supports actually start rotating, as we see Pandago making his way into the west side jungle, dropped the ward as he went. He is going to be able to snag up a bounty here, but I don't know if he's actually going to make a rotation off of this or if this was just a play for the money.
Yeah, and Red 2 does get a little bit lucky if the haste rune spawned bottom. Papa Tootie had already used the wind run to try and get there just that little bit faster, and actually he's making a play top. He's
Pandago's going to spot him, but at this point there's nothing he can do. Yuma's going to get the heads up, and he'll try and back off, but he has no spells. Hiding in the tree line, if they can catch him, they've got him. Yuma is just going to get absolutely blown up here, as they will bring him down. So Pandago was sort of supposed to be the early alert system, and technically speaking, he does spot that rotation, but Yuma had already used both the dilation and the time walk earlier on with Tingle pushing in, so there's just nothing he can do there. It's a big kill for the side of the cut, their first of the game, and now they're trying to put damage in onto this tier 1 tower. That glyph is going to slow them down, but they've still got Tingle to tank it up, and they've got a siege creep, so I think they can just straight up get this.
And that is something that the cut really don't have in spade. They do need to play around these cards pretty efficiently. They need them to push down these early towers. We'll probably see Tingle King, with how early they've gotten this tower, make that rotation mid around that 10-minute mark. But really, Yuma, he's vacated the lane. He's hitting jungle creeps right now. He needs to wait for that Mask of Madness. And this is just given all the space over to Tingling. Just a very free rotation for Red 2 after that haste rune. And now it's up to Papa Tootie with his Javelin to make the same rotation happen on the other side of the map.
And we'll see what they can do here. 1437 is going to link up with him. 2 points up in that Dragon Tail, so the stun duration is that little bit longer. And they will make their move. They're in onto Pingu first, hitting him up with a shackle, so they should get this kill, but value-wise, that's not quite what you were looking for. You do still get some money into Papa Tootie's hands, but you kill Pingu, they killed your carry. So, I mean, it's money for the Wind Ranger, and right now I think that's what D2 Hustlers have to be focused on the most. They need to be able to... Need to be able to build Papa Tootie up, as Yuma was able to time walk himself away from the chasing Tingle, but he does at least snipe out a courier. Pandago's going to lose his, and now Pandago's going to run into Giant here, but there's no actual fight. They're just going to sort of pass each other by.
Yup, and now Red 2, Perfect Orb, gets the Arcane Rune, stealing it out from underneath Papa Tootie, and Papa Tootie probably just going to have to go back to base here. Yeah, doesn't have enough mana to make any plays out on the map. And really, Red 2, I think, has been doing his job perfectly fine. He's been farming up. He hasn't really missed a beat. He wasn't able, or rather didn't need to use that coil top, so he does have that available to them. Now Giant's taking over the mid wave, trying to get that sharpshooter, and we'll see. I think, yeah, TPing bottom. Making a play onto the Bloodseeker would be huge for them right now because he has that level 6, he has that Rupture, and that's why Scourge is sort of afraid of showing in the wave, and yeah.
Scourge doesn't have Eclipse, though, so they're a little bit short on their usual damage, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough to matter. Devi still in some trouble, but yeah, Papa Tootie rotates in, Shackle into Power Shot. Scourge is still hit by the Rupture, though, so he can't run. Okay. Hustler's able to get that kill. Scourge will go down. Oh, Yuma tried to get in there, but the Bushwhack locks him down. The Silence comes in as well, but he does still deploy the Chrono, and now Red 2, he's dead. Puck will be taken down. Pingu, I don't think he gets himself out of here. He's got the Aphotic Shield, but he's still going to get silenced up. Power Shot comes in. He will be taken down, but now here comes Tingle into the fight, taking down Devi Lama first. They get Yuma as well. So,
whoa,
what a snipe. Perfect. Giant with the double, taking out 1437. So, that goes from good to terrible, back to good, back to terrible again, and then relatively even at the end of it, as both sides will lose 3 in that bottom lane.
Yeah, and you do lose the Luna at the beginning there. That's what made it so hairy, because Devi Lama just had the movement speed to run away. And I think the cut not really calculating how much they needed, how many heroes they needed to bring. Giant was very calmly just sitting in the midway, finishing off his sharpshooter. If they have that Bushwhack, I think they're able to kill the Bloodseeker that little bit faster, and maybe you don't lose Scourge. He doesn't get ruptured. The rotation still coming in from Papa Tootie doesn't matter. But still, they get the return kills at the end of the day, and they're setting up behind here. No. I think they're a little bit too far from Tingle, though.
Yeah.
Here comes the boys.
Tingle not dead yet, though. There's going to be the Dream Coil. Papa Tootie dropping low. Can they bring him down? Yes, they can. So, okay. Papa Tootie's dead. Tingle's still alive. No mana to work with here, but the Arcane Boots, that is very well timed. By the time he gets them, it's actually not quite close enough to go in, but to be honest, I don't think they care. They keep Tingle alive, and they found a big kill onto Papa Tootie.
And that's something they did do very well, is just spreading the XP that little bit more efficient, where Yuma TP bottom, he did have that nice chrono that resulted in the Puck's death, but Pandago was sort of stuck running around. He wasn't able to get the same amount of XP, and he's struggling to find a 6 right now. And whenever you don't have that 6 on the Snapfire and the Faceless Void's chrono is on cooldown, you can't really make those easy plays that you otherwise would be able to make.
Stunning onto Giant, but the bushwhack is there. Giant just wants the kill, and he's got it.
Ooh,
Okay, point blank sharpshooter will get him the kill. Now he has to get
gonna
away
die
from the
here.
blood right. 12 HP. Trying to make it out. Divine Llama closing in. Cue the Jaws theme. He wants this kill so badly, but the chakram slows him down. He's not actually going to get it. Now Tingle is chasing in onto him. Okay, there we go. The rupture into the blood right. That will secure it, but now if you're Divine Llama, you immediately have to run. You used everything you had left to secure that kill, and you're not going to be able to go toe-to-toe with Tingle now, so he gets his kill. I mean, you gotta admire the persistence, but that's a long way to go and a lot committed to bring down your position 4 here on the other side.
Well, and similar to the last time we saw D2 Hustlers running this Faceless Void, if they use their abilities on these sort of supplemental heroes and they're not getting things done on the cores, I say that they're going for a Chrono onto SFD. Papa 2 should be able to get the follow-up Shackle.
Eclipse,
Okay,
though,
he's just
coming
fighting.
out. That's not going to be enough. He
Pingu?
will be taking... Oh, Pingu! Good save, in with the shield, into the Mist Coil. I don't think it's enough, though. Papa Tootie still comes in for the kill with the Power Shot, but now Red 2 joining the fight. The Sharpshooter will miss, but they've still got the Waning Rift down for the silence, and Papa Tootie will be taken out. Meanwhile, Giant got the Bushwhack down onto 1437. Tingle King's coming in here, so this DK's got to be careful. Can they lock him down? Yes, they can. Chakram comes in for the slow. 1437 just going to turn around and fight, but he's not going to win that one. Red 2 picks up both of those kills, and they're able to sacrifice, well, their Luna for 2. So it's unfortunate to lose that Luna.
Yuma?
Oh, Yuma, please. He's going to get hit up by the Dream Coil. Can they actually finish him off here? They need the Bushwhack, and they've got it. Triple kill for Red, and Pandago in too late. Nice try with the Cookie Stun, but he can't save Yuma's life, as Red 2 just really starting to get himself going here.
Yeah, and ooh, Scourge did give away the ward there. Pandago will just deward it in just a few moments here, but they're swinging these kills into tower pushes, and Devi does have the rupture. He's going to TP in here, but which target do you want? You'd love to get the Luna again, but no, they're going to have to settle.
He's just going to TP. Where's the stun? There's the stun. 1437 able to lock it down. So Pingu, he will fall, but that isn't really worthwhile. I mean, the rupture's committed. They get the Elder Dragon form, but yeah, maybe if they can get the tier 1, that's going to sort of even this one out, as they will claim it. Now, oh god, Giant. Okay, Dragon Tail into Blood Right, into Shackle, locks him down, and yeah, Giant with the my bad there in the chat, realizing he was still just maybe a step or two too far forward.
Yeah, and that's the little punishment there. If they only got Pingu, it wouldn't have felt the best. But really, Pandago, he's been sort of sitting on his hands here waiting for someone to use those kisses on. So at least they get one of those abilities on cooldown. Now it's probably going to wait to sync it up with that Chronosphere. But losing Yuma in his own jungle, just using his mom and having really good vision on the cut side. And that was a triple kill going towards Red 2. Now he's working towards that Witchblade. And you have to be careful, because while you were able to kill Scourge really at the beginning of that entire fight, all the way back when, you need to really prioritize the farm, especially on this wind. And once you get that BKB, you aren't going to need to worry about that puck. But until then, it's pretty far away. And Papa Tootie, if they see a mid, they're just going to pull the trigger. Instead, they're making their way towards Devi.
That was a big scan, though, out from D2 Hustlers. They actually did get the scan onto Red 2 and Giant, so they have a ward there. They don't see a hero, but the scan popped, so they knew that they were there. But Devi, well, Devi didn't back off. He thought he was going to be safe, and, well, he wasn't. He just gets completely blown up. Giant finds the kill, and now this follow-up play from Hustlers, it's going to take on maybe a little bit more importance. As you said, they've got the Chrono, they need the kisses, maybe they can find something, but we already see the cut starting to sort of break up a little bit here. So at this point, if you're D2 Hustlers, you're going to have to pick a target and really just sort of stick it, as Tingle King is sort of the closest one to them. He's still hanging out down bot. He might be a little bit more difficult to bring down with that Hood of Defiance up, but doesn't look like they want to go in for it just yet. Yuma's actually just going to break the smoke and return to the jungle to farm.
Yeah, and again, all of this time is time that Scourge is spending in his own triangle. I'd love to see D2 Hustlers maybe give 1437 this bottom lane. They need to kill this tower. It only has 200 HP, so I think might be committing the Dragon form just to make sure it's a guaranteed tower death. But 1437 needs the space to finish off this Blink Dagger. Otherwise, while you are able to get some of these tower pushes going, you haven't really been able to claim these towers in the most expedient fashion. It is 15 minutes into this game. The carts are coming in, so we'll see if Giant's able to get the deny in the tower. Yep, and 1437 should just take over this lane away from Devi, and Devi's hunting actually for this Hoodwink.
Giant has a TP though, so he could just try and get himself out of here. Although, okay, he could go
Soul
for the kill
kill. He's just
instead.
going for it.
Not quite able to get it, but this is actually a fantastic distraction. The rest of the team is into the Roche pit, so D2 Hustlers are looking to the south, but over in the pit, they're just going to be able to take Roche, well, effectively for free. This isn't really the fastest we've ever seen. In fact, it's incredibly slow, but no one's here to stop. Uh-oh.
They scouted it out,
And now
but it's a
someone's
little
here.
bit too late. Ooh,
Power
Pingu.
shot in there.
Pingu? Okay.
All right. Sacrifices have to be made there. Pingu probably could have just backed away, but his death does get the Aegis into the hands of his teammate. So Scourge has that second life up now, but the D2 Hustlers, they're looking... Oh, they found it. Red 2 in trouble. He's going to get caught by the Chrono into the Mortimer Kisses, and that's unfortunate for the puck. We did say if he gets hit up by any of that lockdown, he's just straight up dead and wasn't able to survive that, but now pop a 2D. I don't know.
Yeah.
Tingle's going to get... He's going to be hard to kill here. They've got multiple heroes, but so tanky at this point in the game. He's got that hood, as we mentioned earlier. Now he's got a Eul's to go along with it. So they decide it's not going to be worth that risk. They will simply back off at this point. They got the kill onto the puck. That's going to be good enough for now.
Yeah, and it really kills pretty much all of the aggression. Now they used, what, 3 ultimates? Well, they will have the Elder Dragon form pretty soon. 1437 didn't stay in that bottom lane. He wasn't able to finish it off. He's not really prioritizing his own farm. At the same time, the Vilama has a Blade Mail, has an Urn, going for the Spirit Vessel. We haven't really seen them get aggressive onto that Luna aside from really just that one kill top in Scourge. Now that he has an Aegis, it feels like this Luna's going to be able to get that sort of free farm space to do whatever she wants. You have the Lance, you have the Manta coming out now. You probably want that BKB before you ever make a play towards that high ground, but they're really just making these easy pushes, easy objectives with that Curse of Avernus, leveraging the fact that this Abaddon's in the game. And really, if you're D2 Hustlers, you have to give them a lot of this space. And I can't imagine the Cut give up this bottom tower. They're going to see, yeah, they're going to TP down now. They are going to Steve Giant, though.
Already starting to back away, sort of anticipating that there's other heroes coming, and that would be a correct assumption. Tingle's in, and now the Luna's going to TP forward as well, so the T2 Hustlers should be sort of fading back from this tower. They're not going to get themselves caught out. The problem is, they don't get the tower. They fail to get that tier 2, while the Cut did claim the tier 2 up in that top lane, so it is a bit of an empty trip for D2 Hustlers, and that's something that they can ill afford right now. They're down by 4,000 net worth, so really they were just hoping for that trade-off. Instead, they're pushed back, and at least they don't get caught in that fight, but that's not really worthwhile for them considering what they lose elsewhere on the map.
And now you just see he's going to go bottom on this Luna. He knows they don't have glyphs, so this bottom tower will more or less be forfeit. And D2 Hustlers are respecting the fact that this Luna is in the game. She has the vision, she has the knowledge. Tingle King is a little bit wild walking up here, but he sort of knows how much power, how much damage they have, and unless they commit absolutely everything, there really is no easy way to take out this Timbersaw. So the Cut, they're just going from lane to lane, doing whatever they want. I can't imagine D2 Hustlers are going to give up this bottom tower very easily, but at the same time, unless Yuma's able to find that initiation, while they do have a Blink Dagger on 1437, yeah, they need to smoke to find this play.
They're trying to group up, but they got to deal with that Luna illusion first. There we go. They're going to be able to burn through it. Now they'll go for the smoke play, but Pingu immediately pings that out. So they kind of see it coming, and I don't know. Tingle, he's very close, but D2 Hustlers, they're just going to pass right by him here. So they're not really aware of where their opponents are. They do pop the scan now, though, so they are going to get some sort of idea of where the Cut are sort of hanging out, but at this point it's a little bit too late. That tier 2 tower is still going to fall, and their smoke is already kind of dissipating.
Yeah, and you don't have that split push play. You're not putting any pressure on the lanes right now. You do recap that outpost, but with the heroes you show to do it, I mean, they could just prod at this tier 3 tower. There's not really anything else you could do. Scourge is going to cut the mid wave now because that wave isn't all the way in, and really, this is just by the books play.
Devi, though.
Okay.
Pushing forward, they get the blood right down into the shackle. Does he commit the rupture? No, he does not. So, to be honest, I don't know. You kind of want to save as much as you can for the second life on Scourge, but if you don't get through the first life first, then what are you really saving for there? But they decide that's not quite worth the risk, and to be honest, with the Cut having about 4 heroes standing behind the Luna, that was probably the smarter play, but you just get the feeling like D2 Hustlers are just getting sort of jerked across the map right now. They're playing a very reactionary style, and not really being able to find much in the way of sort of taking initiative for themselves.
And they really are getting pushed back into their base now, even though this Aegis will tick out in just 15 seconds here. So I'm guessing Scourge is just going to dodge up. It's up to D2 Hustlers now to make that aggressive smoke again. They already airballed before, but they need to do something. And okay, Tingle King, you might get ruptured up here.
Okay. Dual Scepter will buy him some time. Honestly, he could just eat the damage and try to chain away, but instead he's going to stand his ground, throwing out the Chakram, and, well, he will be taken down. Hustler's finally able to find that kill. It does take them about 3 or 4 of their heroes, but that's the kind of play they need. They need to really take the initiative for themselves, push out, and find these sorts of kills. So at this stage, the resources required, it's not really something that I think they care about. They need these kills, and really whatever it takes at this point has to be the mantra for them.
Yeah, and it is relatively free. You didn't have to commit too many spells, but this is still time that your Void is showing, having to push out these waves. You don't have the most, or really the best wave push or split push coming in from the Hustler side. They really have to work to get out on the map. And you have the BKB being built up by that Void, so he doesn't have to be afraid of the puck. I think one thing that Red 2 could be a little bit better about is playing in these side lanes, finding these heroes that are pushing out, like this Bloodseeker. You have the vision, you have sort of that infrastructure, and I think if they were posted up a little bit further, then you'd be able to find those easy pickoffs. But he's got his Blink Dagger now. He's going to be able to play a lot more confidently, doesn't need to necessarily worry about being too far from the fight at any point. So we should just see the cut making strides, especially with this BKB on the Luna. There isn't too much she should be afraid of at this point, except for Yuma just getting a fantastic Chronosphere. And that's sort of assured, or you can sort of assume that that's not going to happen, but they're TPing in here.
Oh, get the Dragon Tail down. The Shackle doesn't latch. Scourge is able to pop the BKB. Turns around now with the Eclipse. But Papa Tootie, he's got his BKB going as well. So the damage from that Eclipse really isn't all that great. But Giant able to get the snipe down onto 1437. But here comes the Chrono, catching him out. Scourge, he's not dead just yet. There we go. They do manage to finish that one off. Pandago, meanwhile, in with a stun. But Tingle just flying into the middle of that fight with the Timber Chain, locking down Yuma. As they will find that kill. Divine Llama now going to get hit up by the Bushwhack, taken down as well. And
oh, he's got Yules.
the two Hustlers in some trouble. Papa Tootie trying to fall back. Red 2 wants to get in onto him. He's going to be able to connect with the Waning Rift. And I don't know if Wind Ranger gets out. He's dead. Okay. They cut with a huge win. They get everyone.
And they had to use everything on the Scourge. They used the Dragon Tail, they used the Rupture, they had no vision on that high ground. They placed the ward a little bit after the fact, after that Chrono was already there, and they just got completely pulled apart. It felt like that was the perfect timing. Papa Tootie had his own BKB to counter out Scourges, so you weren't afraid of that Eclipse, but it took a little bit too long there, and Yuma, not having a BKB of his own, he hasn't had that much time to farm, just gets coiled, and there's nothing he can do about it. And that's where Tingle King comes in. He's so good at hitting those multi-hero whirling deaths. He always gets so much damage out. And while you are losing Scourge at the tail end of that fight, I don't think you care too much because you're taking out the speed that D2 Hustlers really have to work to get. You don't have those flash farmers on their team. Whereas Scourge, sure, you die, your team gets a 4-man wipe, their game gets to go off a little bit better, and you're just going to hit these creeps for a few more minutes. And I really feel pretty bad about that fight if I'm D2 Hustlers.
And the only, I guess we'll call it a downside for the cut about that fight is the fact that Scourge dying means they weren't really able to immediately push for objectives off the back of it. The Luna is still kind of your battering ram in terms of that building damage, but it still gives them a pretty substantial amount of control across the map. You saw them sort of drop down some wards in that north side jungle, and now they're pushing their way into the Roche Pit. Aegis Cheese and the Aghanim Shard all available, and D2 Hustlers, they're not in a position right now to immediately push forward. They're going to have to regroup first, but we do see Papa Tootie
power shot it,
making his way over. Power shot comes in, so they know what's happening now, but yeah, they can't stop it. Aegis picked up by Scourge. He gets the cheese over to, actually, Pingu. Okay. So he's going to be holding on to that for somebody. Meanwhile, who took that shard? The Luna did.
And it's just going to be more obnoxious, and during nighttime, now Pandago needs to be so careful. You always are going to get disabled, more or less, and at the same time, it's going to be sort of that chain stun where you throw out that Lucent Beam, it stuns for just a little bit longer than you expect, and maybe you get that Bushwhack into a hero dying before they get that BKB off. And while Yuma was able to finish up a BKB of his own, you're just going to sit behind this Timbersaw. Cool. Okay. Already
oh, God.
Duty.
Didn't pop
Um,
the BKB in time. He's just straight up dead. He doesn't have buyback. I don't know if they can do this. Yuma, though. Okay, onto the back line.
okay, red
Chronosphere
2.
deployed. They take down Red 2. Good play there, but they still got to deal with Scourge and Tingle King on the front line. Scourge is dropping low, though, so maybe they can bring him down. They do burn through that first life, but now Red 2, he bought back. He TP'd onto that outpost, so he should rejoining his teammates momentarily, and at this point, you've still got a BKB up on the Luna, and you do have the puck coming back in for that Dream Coil. Connecting onto 2. They've hit up Pandego first.
Oh,
They're
they're
going to
all
be able to take
breaking
down Yuma, and oh my
What the?
god, they just got destroyed.
And
I'm dead.
now they're just onto the towers. Do you have buybacks on their squad? Wait a second. No,
No.
you don't. Aside from what 1437 is going to be able to do, I feel like this is just going to be 2 racks. They have to walk all the way bottom, which does feel a little bit weird, but this is a pretty big opportunity. They could also just look for the reset. Yeah, okay. They're not going to be too crazy here. But still, that was a pretty big swing for them. While you did get the Aegis out of the hands of Scourge, you found, again, Red 2 getting a little bit greedy there. He gets a little bit too close to that fight, does eat the Chronosphere. Scourge is now working towards that Satanic, and once he has it, he's going to have 2 lives, and you're going to be continue to be aggressive on your side of the map. They didn't use the cheese either, so knowing that there isn't a Chronosphere, they're just going to be incredibly confident. Pingu should just be able to shield off everybody on his team.
Look at Tingle go. He's just going to push his way in. They're trying to bring down Pandego. They get the snipe down onto the Divine Llama Bloodseeker, but Timber wasn't able to get himself out just yet, so he could be in some trouble. Dropping low. Can he eat the cheese in time? Yes,
Yep.
he does. Oh my god. It was so close for him, but the Aphotic Shield, I believe, comes through to give him that little bit of extra time, and he is able to pop it. Now Red 2. Okay, that was a very far jump forward. He is going to be able to push back, though, in time, as that orb was sort of acting as the safety valve. And now, 1437, okay. That's a very bold move. Jumping in onto Scourge, they will throw down the Rupture as well, but the Luna's just going to hold her ground while 1437 himself gets picked off. So they're going to... Oh, they're going to go. Yuma wants it. Okay.
But
Scourge popped the BKB, however, and he is just going to try and hold his ground, but the bashes are coming through, so gotta show a little bit of respect to that. But once the BKB wears off, Yuma's got nothing left to fight with. The Bushwhack locks him down. The cookie from Pandego can't save the day. Yuma is dead with no buyback, and I think
they
this one's
called it.
over. Yeah, GG will be called. D2 Hustlers, just some big mistakes in the last couple of fights there, massively costing them.
And Scourge McDuck Luna. This is why most teams banded on second phase versus him. It felt like he just did whatever he wanted. And at the end of the fight there, they really just focused on the wrong targets. They tried to kill the Timbersaw. They tried to kill the Luna, but Pingu perfectly played, sitting behind his teammates, doing whatever he can to save them. It never felt like they made those strides to kill the puck aside from getting that Chronosphere on him maybe once or twice. And while that does work, it is great that you're able to take him out. You need to deal with this Luna at this point. She didn't even have her Satanic, I think, at the end of the game there. It was just really being force-fed those Aphotic Shields, getting those heals off, and they just ran out of damage. And again, the Shard, as soon as Pandego went for that ulti, went for the kisses, immediately gets disabled. During all of that, you've got this puck running around doing whatever she wants because 1437 isn't focusing her with this DK pick that you picked to counter the puck. So, I mean, D2 Hustlers, they just lost a really standard game and cut. They just played basic good Dota, and honestly, an outstanding performance from Giant on that Hoodwink. He really just kept on getting the stuns he needed and really propelled himself forward. He had those 4 or 5 picks in the early game that really just set him off for a good game.
This is the second time now today, I believe, we have seen this Faceless Void strat kind of fall a little bit flat. You've mentioned it feels sort of overpowered if you can get to that sort of late game stage, if you can reach that maybe 30 to 40 minute mark, and your Faceless Void sort of becomes too strong to lock down. But in the 2 instances we've seen in today's matches, the winning team, the team that actually beats out that Faceless Void, does not give him that time, and that's exactly what happened here. You take a look at Yuma net worth-wise, he's pretty far down there compared to the cores on the cut, so the aggression comes through, not just in terms of the kills, but also what they were able to do objective-wise off the back of that. That is one of the reasons why Scourge on this Luna is so damn dangerous. It's not just the damage, it's the control of the map. He was just barreling his way through objectives after every single positive play for the cut, and D2 Hustlers could not secure the space to really get themselves back in on that Faceless Void.
Yeah, and it really feels like maybe you got a little bit unfortunate with those Roche respawns, but Yuma every single time he used Chrono, it felt crippling for the Hustlers side. Like when you didn't have that playmaker that Devilama could be playing, you didn't have a playmaker. Papatuti at the same time didn't really make as many plays as I think he could have in those side lanes, and maybe it's just dealing with the enemy team's lineup. He didn't feel confident enough, but whenever Yuma used that Chrono, he didn't have it to contest the Roche, and Cut kind of got away with murder.
So now we get down to crunch time. D2 Hustlers have had 3 attempts so far to get that desperately needed victory, and so far they are 0 for 3 on the day. So this final match is going to be quite literally their last shot. If they can't pull it out here and salvage the 1-1 draw, then they're just going straight down to that lower bracket. And at this point, as we said before, if D2 Hustlers do get the 1-1 draw, then we've got to do some additional math in terms of sort of strength of schedule to figure out who gets in. So D2 Hustlers got to get it done now. I mean, we were talking earlier on, they were going to have so many chances, you know, if it doesn't go right here, they can do it in the next game, etc. This next game is the last game. If D2 Hustlers don't do it here, they're in some serious trouble. So a lot of pressure on D2 Hustlers, but pressure, technically speaking, of their own making. So we'll see how they respond. Should be seeing some adjustments in the draft. This one here in game 1, not quite what they were hoping for. So we'll see. D2 Hustlers got to pull out really all the stops here to try and salvage this one and keep their hopes of the upper bracket alive. So we are going to be pushing into a bit of a break. When we return, though, it will be that second match between D2 Hustlers and the Cut.